Hello. How are you?
Nice to be here. Thank you. Bueno, buenas tardes.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the presentation of the press conference In Eye in Motion. As you know, it's one of the films that forms part of the festival. We're very looking forward to seeing the direction of Juliette Binoche, who you know, she's an actress that we love very much at the festival. She's visited us on several occasions and she was an Austria Award 1 year. So therefore, having her in the debut as a director for us is an honor, and we're very happy to have her here. We've got Juliette and also Sébastien de Fonseca, who's the producer of In Eye in Motion. If you deem, let's start with the questions. And I also would like to ask a question, so thank you very much. There seems to be a question in the front row. Congratulations, Juliette. And I would like to ask you, what reflections has it caused to you to see in the film all the difficulties you went through during all of the performances, especially, and with the recent the anecdote that you've got of this film, because it seems that Robert Redford was one of the promoters for you to carry out and to make a documentary and everything that you've recorded from all of the performances. What do you think? The question is, did you hear the question? No, it's a double question. One question is, like, for example, is what do you think, what all of the performances, and then Robert Redford, no, in English, whatever. In English. Okay, thank you.
Well, I was doing the show In Eye with Akram Khan. We co-created the show, and we were touring for a long time because we played 100 times in a lot of different continents. And we arrived in New York. That was the end of our show, of our tour. And as I was coming out of the stage, I was still in my stage dress. Robert Redford came to me, to my dressing room, and he pulled me in my dressing room and closed the door behind me, and he said, "You've got to make a film out of this piece. You have to do it." And he repeated several times with a lot of passion. I was a little surprised because I was in front of him, you know, the great actor and director. And so I said, yes, I will, yes. And then I didn't know how I was going to do it because I didn't have a production. I didn't know where to do it. And then finally, because we end the tour in Paris, I asked my sister, who knew about the show, obviously, because she shot so many days of rehearsals that we were going through while rehearsing. Then I put those tapes that my sister shot in a drawer for 15 years. And then 2 years ago, I had two savers, Solène Léger and Ola Strom came to ask me if I wanted to do something, if I had a project. And I was a little taken aback, surprised, but why not? And then I discovered I had a brother like 4 years before. And I learned that he was a producer as well. So I asked Sébastien if he was willing to come with me and meet with Solène and Ola, and he said, yes, let's go for it. And so it started like this. So 2 years ago, we were, embarking in this long journey of putting those tapes back together to make a film, in the In Eye show. And also, I decided to do also the documentary of the creation of the film, because I wanted to, for people to experience what it means to co-create and to also jump into a medium, an artistic medium you don't know anything about. So that was the journey. They trusted me to do it, and I was so thrilled, but also very frightened, because as I was going, there was no script written. I had no, I kind of sensed that I knew the subject matter mattered, especially nowadays in our world where we need to have more co-creations between nations, between languages, between, anything, habits, everything. So it felt like, because we are, Akram and myself, we're very different, different sex, different skin colors, different backgrounds, religions, form of expressing ourselves, coming from dance and coming from acting are very reverse, but they complete each other so well. So showing and risking to show this, the ups and downs of this kind of situation was dangerous, but it felt genuinely right nowadays to do it.
Aquí delante hay una pregunta.
Question in the front.
Hola, Irene de Cine Maravilla. Vous savez déjà que je vous admire beaucoup.
She's speaking in French. I'm sorry, there's no translation.
Rappelez-moi. Alors, ça a été une bonne surprise pour moi de
Pedimos disculpas, pero no hay traducción.
de danser.
Yes, and was there a dance project?
On peut voir que ça a été
In the
facile
film,
pour vous.
we can see that it's not easy, that it's not that simple.
Pendant les essais,
Have you ever thought at a given time in stopping the project or not go ahead?
Never. No, never. Okay. No, because it is
No, nunca.
going through difficulty is part of the journey of transformation. If you don't have obstacles, you cannot grow. So when even though this terrible thing, going on the wall and not finding the solution of this image that Akram had in his mind, and I could have said no. I say, why don't you go to the wall and being trapped there? But I probably because as an actor, you've got to meet the other person's, the director's vision. I was happy to go there, as sometimes I would push him, to go into emotions that he didn't want to go to. I could not show the entire journey because there would be hours and hours, and we had 170 hours of rushes, but I had to make choices and find an equilibrium between all the different layers we went through.
Aquí hay una pregunta.
And there's a question here.
Hello. Yesterday night, you said that you are one of the people that hope that what's happening in Gaza is going to come to an end. I think we all agree on that. I want to ask you, you're just an actor, and it seems that we live in time where actors speak out more than politicians. There has been a petition that was signed by 4,000 actors. I mentioned some names, Tilda Swinton, Mark Ruffalo, and many others that are asking to boycott Israeli film industry. I don't know if this is the right thing to ask for, boycotting culture. But I would like to ask you, what do you think about this, all of this debate? I mean, if you also feel frustrated by politicians that not being able to put an end on it, and what can culture do about it? Thank you so much.
Well, I'm not sure politics are going to help and save us, because it seems that everybody's trying to be in this kind of egoistical economical minds, and I think arts can help finding ways of communication, but I believe in spiritual connections and wanting to unite. And of course there are arrangements between nations about economy, but it seems that it's going in such dark place at the moment. So, you know, we do what we can as actors. I know some are going actually there on a boat and trying to find solutions. I don't know about that, but I think we have to go into our creative side and believe into junctions of collaboration. That's the film is about. I think my film is that, you know, facing a very different person as Akram Khan, and coming from a Muslim world and a more of a Christian world, and it's how do we find areas where we can find a common language, and it means to be humble. You know, he had to have the courage of relinquishing his dancer, because he could not dance with me. He was too much of a, you know, I could not keep up with his strength and stamina and everything. So he really slowed down. And as an actor, I also had to repeat with him many hours with him. So he was ready to go down into areas that are not so easy, you know, for a non-actor, or even for actors. But there's a need of going to a place of humility and taking off the pride mask. And I like De Niro saying that at least actors are trying to find truth in what they're doing. I don't think politicians are doing that. They're hiding behind, you know, a way of calculating. But the union is badly needed at the moment. And well, we have European Union, but it seems that it's frightening a lot of people, a lot of other continents as well. So it's. I believe in human beings and our creative side, and that's why I'm here to worship that side.
Can you say something about boycotting culture and art? I mean, there was in Venice Film Festival. Sorry, just I want to ask you, because at the Venice Film Festival, there was this discussion about boycotting, I don't know, Gerard Butler or Gal Gadot, because they were supporting Israeli politics. And Julian Schnabel said that art should not be boycotted. What do you think about that? Because this is what your community is talking about. If you want, of course. Thank you.
No, I think I answered quite a lot of your question. I think that's enough. Thank you.
Hay una pregunta aquí.
There's a question here. Hola, Catalina de Costanza.
Pleasure of meeting you and shaking your hand at the Berlinale when you were the president of the international jury a few years ago. And I'm very happy to be here for the first time at San Sebastian when you're making your debut as a director. And for me, these are two grand moments in my career. So to say, I was wondering, what can you tell us about how you interpret, what do these moments mean for you, to be the president of the jury in Berlinale, to have the first film in San Sebastian after a grand career in Cannes, Venice, all over the world? Thank you.
Oh, and they're quite different things. I think, you know, as a president of a jury, you're part of a group, and there's a way to, you know, be a family for this, you know, days of watching films together. The excitement to be in these kind of jury is that everybody's coming from very different places from the world, and you're going to watch films coming from very different places. So it puts you into a place of a planet of joy, because there are differences, because we're discussing sensibility with our sensibilities, different points of view about, you know, the views of films, of telling stories and subject matters, and the art of filming, and so that's that was very enlightening, I have to say, and I learned a lot, not only in Berlin, but in all of the festivals you can do as a jury is all very informative. And I know as journalists, you watch a lot of films, and you're learning a lot every year, every time you're going through this facets of, being a human being and artists. Today is a very special day because, first of all, I'm with Sébastien, my new brother, and we're here to present this film. And it's like a fairy tale in a way, because I had those amazing two people coming to me and say, "Hey, do you have a project?" And it never happened to me. It's like coming out of a Cinderella or something. And then and when I asked my sister if she would allow me to use some of the rushes, all of the rushes she filmed while we were dancing, she said yes. So it's coming from very special places, and so I feel in this film we're absolutely blessed, and it feels we're in a wave that it's moving by itself, and as we're going, we've been encountering people being interested in releasing the film and showing the film, and the support is so important because doing documentary is very fragile, as you know, and we may know. It's you have very little money. It doesn't make money like fictions can do or other films can do, and so you have to fight for it, but you have to believe in it. That's mainly what it is. And I learned to really be, I think, being exigeante. How do you say that in English? Vigilant, exigeant, demanding, or
Exigente, sí. ¿No?
Yeah, demanding. It's always been in me, I think, as an actress, because I like to feel at the end of the day that I gave them the best I could. Otherwise, it goes on and on and on in my head, and I feel horrible. So, but I think as let's say a director, even though it's I feel like really no, not really. I was in an editing room for many hours and days, but the passion of it was amazing, and I was accompanied by a lot of great people with me, editors and sound editors as well, and a mixer, and so on every single level, it's been a joy and challenging journey, but joy to come, to come together. It's the purpose of this film for me, of course, is to go back to that past and try and see what happened, but mainly it's about, if possibly, inspire people's life into going into places they've never been, and believing in your potential in recreating something new in you, or if you've been dreaming to do something, just do it and be constant in it, and love the challenges of it so it can transform and make a reality of it. Yeah.
Bueno, hay un par de preguntas.
There are a few questions, but if you'll allow me, let me ask a question. There's something in your project which drew our attention when we saw it for the festival, and I think it is one of the most beautiful things in the film, is that it has a lot of, it's an act of generosity by you, of telling. The truth is that you had to learn to how to dance, but you're also revealing a lot about your process as an actress, and you're an actress who is well known, and great part of film goes through your face and through your body as well, and just seeing you close up to talk about your own processes, I think this is a very generous gesture. And this is part of, you're saying, this is part of my job. And I would like to ask you about that. When you decide, many years later, that those images that were recorded 15 years ago, it's the time to show them, that this also activates a bit of fear. And you can say, now I'm going to tell you what's behind all of these characters that are very important for me and that you all know.
The thing is, I didn't know what the film was going to be because I didn't know what was in the rushes that my sister had taken. Mm-hmm. And also I gathered the hours of rehearsals that Akram and myself, because we were filming each other as we were going because we didn't have an outsider. We had Suman and Suzanne, you know, our coaches, but as co-directors, we needed to know, you know, how it was going, whether we had ideas, because I had to improvise, because I'm not a dancer. I had to improvise in order to maybe find movements that we could incorporate into the show, but also in the Akram's choreography. So the process was special. So your question was about...
Un poco sobre el pudor, ¿no? De alguna forma.
Well, the fear of showing your profession in the film.
I feel that as an actress, I'm showing myself a lot. So maybe there's a character, there's a way of behaving, there's a way, but still it's very much me. And so there's an intimacy that is always showing off, but that you can transpire, you know, and through the story. But there, I mean, I don't mind. I didn't mind showing myself as the real Juliette, because I was in a journey of trying to find a language with Akram, and I was discovering the language because I thought it was improvisation was going to be the thing, but actually at a certain point, Akram and Suman said, "No, we've got to set it up, because otherwise we're going to be stuck," you know. And so I learned throughout the process, and as I was saying, it's always possible to learn something, and I think that's why I wanted to show that it doesn't matter. You know, I felt ridiculous when we were. I can see my 2-3 editors here as we were editing. There are moments I was ridiculous, and I felt, well, it doesn't matter, because the purpose is to actually arrive to a place that Akram and I we were agreeing on, and that felt truthful and special. And thank God we had those two coaches, Susan and Suman, because they're really our guardian angels, and also my sister's here. And she, I mean, it's amazing that she allowed me to have those rushes, and I was so happy to be in her eyes as well, because I think there's a lot of love, also because she shot with a lot of love.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hay aquí una pregunta aquí delante.
There's a question here in the front.
Bonjour, Gabriela Bravo de Culture et Arts de Chili.
Agaro from Cultures and Arts in Chile. I'd like to know the following. In 2007, you decide to leave your comfort zone to do something like dancing. And now, once again, you come out of your comfort zone as an actress, turning yourself into a director, directing this documentary. Tell me, please, aren't you afraid as regards how you're going to be judged? Because an actress, you're very recognized, you've received all of the awards in the world. But as a dancer, I'm sure that at that time it must have been an enormous challenge, and all of a sudden you're confronting another challenge as a director. How do you compare those two experiences?
No, the défi is that that people are taking something from the film and be changed by it. That's the défi. After that, I'm sure people are not going to love it, or they're going to love it, or they might discover it doesn't matter. It's really is the purpose is really to push or to interrogate people about their lives and where they could go, because I didn't know I could move, or let's call dance, because when I started, I was like a potato, you know. I could not, you know, but I could not really go for it. And I had ideas and feelings, but I couldn't embody them. So it took time it took somebody to believe in me, Suman, my trainer as well as my the art dance director, rehearsal director, really was believing in me. As Susan Batson, was believing that we could make links bridges. I didn't know really how to get there, but we had to be quick because we only had 6 months of rehearsal, and becoming a dancer in 6 months, it's impossible. So you have to find ways, and acting was great in that way. When she said sensation, then it spoke to me. And I could, with this descending in my body with a sensation, the movement could come. But I had to try things, and it didn't work until I felt it. So it was always a point of reference as we were going, and Susan had left, because we had to be not too quick, but yet being on the aim of creating something together. So about the judgment outside, it's not about that. I don't care. I'm not a dancer. And I wouldn't even say I'm not an actress. I'm a human being. And I love, through mediums, experience life and go for it and invent things. And I want to do other things. It's why do we need to be in a place and stay in the place until the end of their life? That is weird to me. We are here just to experience possibilities and go for it and be active in that way. So being creative, I think, is the most important, especially today, because we're behind, fear, we're behind politicians make decisions, and totalitarianism in most of the places. I mean, if we're creators, freedom is in us forever. And it could be creative in a small thing like that, or a bigger thing like that, or it doesn't matter. It's a resistance to be creative, a creator, and not just, following what's been decided for us.
Hay tiempo para una última pregunta.
Time for one final question.
Bonjour, Alessandro Bizzotto to Players Magazine Italy. Pour Juliette Binoche.
I come from Italy. For Juliette Binoche, as an actress, the most difficult thing physically, when you work with a choreographer who's so well known, like Akram, who has worked with the English National Ballet, who works a lot as a professional dancer. Because, of course, you're an actress, but you're a star as well. So tell me, how do you adapt? Was there any reciprocity working together? And what was the most difficult thing physically? And perhaps the producer would like to say a few words about the difficulties in production when producing a project of this nature. And bravo, congratulations to both of you. What I'm going to say is something, and that is to say, cinema is an industry of prototypes, and I in Motion is the quintessence of prototypes. We've done everything completely different to what we do. Normally you write a script and you look for financing and then you shoot the film. Here, no, we did everything back to front because the images were already existed. Juliette didn't want to write, so therefore we went directly, and then we did the editing. So there was no script. There was no directing, everything was done differently. There was no prior written material. And Juliette took control and reinterpreted everything. She retook everything. And before I thought, it's like there's babies, you throw them into the pool and they start to swim. Well, that's the way it was. And that's what Juliette did. She quickly learned to swim. Freestyle. She found the film. It was an adventure, obviously, from the point of view of production. I was the witness I witnessed these things, and I was there just to accompany her in that movement and that movement of creation. And it was a pleasure to see her. The truth is, to evolve. and all of those phases, creative phases, and then we were fortunate enough to simply have the coaches, Akram, explained the project, but it wasn't today's film. But in that pitch, there was some content, and the financing was achieved slowly but surely. Obviously, we each had to accept and to work with very little money, and then we got more money slowly but surely. And if anyone has money, the extra money, it would be really good to finish financing the film. But it has been a production adventure which was totally atypical, and that was the case thanks to Juliette.
Je me souviens plus ce que vous m'avez demandé en premier, là.
I don't remember the question. As an actress, you're also a star. What was the most difficult physically when working with a with such a well-known choreographer? What was the work method? Because dancers work in a specific way and differently.
Akram was very generous to me, because he had to let go of his body, because he could not be the dancer he used to with me, because I could not keep up with the stamina. I could not, so he really had to slow down and help me, as I helped him as well as an actor. But I think there was a real generosity in working with me. I felt that as we were going. But as you see in the film, I feel like I will never be able to go through it, because it's so hard when you're out of breath and you still have to continue. You feel your body it's not taking you. So, because Suman trained me every day, and we went walking and running, and so after a while, the body is changing, gets the stamina and gets the capacity of holding you, taking you. And when you feel that you went from A or 0 to, let's say, 10, you feel like life is amazing. We are alive, and we have so many capacities. And I also discovered Qigong, the Qi to protect your body, because I started hurting myself when I started to rehearse. I broke toes, and my left knee started to hurt, and so I had a acupuncturist who said, "You've got to go to see this special Qigong master to protect you." And I went every month to be protected. And I really felt I had wonderful people around me in order to get to the show. But I have to say that every single night before I went on stage, I was trembling. I thought, this is it. This time I'm going to be killed. And I have to say that it at the end of the whole experience of dancing and acting together with Akram in the show, I felt like nothing could frighten me anymore, because I've been through fear so many times. And it's interesting, why do I go back to that film, and after all these years? But somewhere it was written, and the fact that Robert Redford passed away just 2 or 3 days ago, and I was actually writing to Michelle Statter as it was happening, because I wanted to tell her the story with Robert Redford, and if we could go to Sundance, which I was just dreaming of, because it feels so meaningful. It feels like this journey is, I've been, taken, and all the technicians and all the people surrounding this journey, and, really working with Sébastien, who we didn't know each other's life 7 years ago. Now we really sewing a relationship all together, so it becomes a family story, and it's just a dream, actually. Mm.
Pues vamos a dar por finalizada la rueda de prensa. Muchísimas gracias, Juliette y Sébastien, y mucha
Gracias.
suerte con vuestra película.
Merci.